I think people are underestimating the economic issues that we're facing. And I think that's because people don't understand economics. I think that people, I said this on my stream to my audience the other day, and I'll say this to you guys on this stream as well. If you don't know what the producer price index is, you should look at it. It is a forward-facing economic indicator on what producers are paying for goods that are later going, those prices are going to trickle down, because that's the only thing that does trickle down, by the way, to the consumer. So the consumer price index, which is different than the core price index, you should also know what those two indicators are. The core price index being minus energy and groceries, because they're super volatile, and the consumer price index being what you pay for everything across the country. And the reason I'm telling you this now is because the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is the department that generally releases this information, was just taken over by a guy who thinks that we shouldn't be reporting these statistics anymore. So it's best to look at that information now. The producer price index has cut 350 indexes. Therefore, you will no longer see reporting on any of that. And by the way, this is not specific to just this administration. It's just like everything with Trump, he's made it that much worse. Over the last couple decades, we have been cutting down the size of these departments and making these statistics a little bit harder to report accurately. But Donald Trump has eviscerated these departments. He has made these departments almost non-functional. And when you take 350 indexes and you toss them in the trash for the producer price index, the PPI, you are legitimately fucking with information that determines what things are going to do in the future for consumers. And when you look at the consumer price index, so the producer price index went up by 1%, 1 point. That's huge. That's gigantic. That means that most likely in the near future, prices will be going up for consumers. Prices are already going up for consumers, as the consumer price index went up, I think, 0.3 points. Which, once again, doesn't sound like a lot, but actually is. It is. It's a huge, huge increase. When you couple that with lies and shadiness, and you look at the fact that, like Donald Trump and his tariffs, right? He's not allowed. The executive branch is not allowed to unilaterally establish tariffs. He used an emergency act, which is meant to give the president powers when America is under attack from some type of outside source. He used that to determine that emergencies are happening because of America's debt. A debt, by the way, that he himself has increased by something like $13 trillion in his 2 terms so far. But that it's a crisis. Like all crises, it's manufactured by him to be used by him. But here's the important part. He's not allowed to do that. The Congress, our Congress, owns the purse strings. They determine whether or not taxes go up, taxes go down, and tariffs are a tax. It's a regressive tax, a tax that the middle class pays. And currently, courts are deciding whether or not that's legal. And one court has already determined that Donald Trump does not have the power to establish the tariffs that he has established. And one thing that Donald Trump has said that is true in this administration, and it's probably the only thing that he said that is true, is if these courts overturn these tariffs, we are going into a Great Depression. It's one that he created, and I'm not quite sure that he didn't do it on purpose. The tariffs were a bad idea from the very beginning. They were a bad idea from the very beginning, and they should have been stopped by our Congress, our feckless fucking Congress, our feckless fucking senators. Should have been stopped then. Because now we rest on the edge of a decision that most likely, in a judicial sense, is the correct decision to overturn all of those trade agreements, to overturn all of those tariffs. And now we're going to be sitting across the table from Canada and China and every other country in the fucking world after we just shit all over them. And they're going to go, oh, you, all that shit you did to us? Oh, now you want us to play fair? So anyways, I wanted to watch this video. I haven't watched this video. Maybe it has something to do with this, maybe not. Most of the time we're talking about the same things, me and Kyle, me and Benjamin. So this is Trump's depression is coming. I'd like to hear Kyle's 2 cents on this, and we'll see if we're on the same page here. As always, I don't watch these, so we're going to find out. Maybe Kyle has a whole different point of view.
All right, y'all, welcome to the show. I hope you're ready to have some fun today because we're going to be doing exactly that. So in just a second, we start off a wee bit serious because the Trump depression is upon us. We're beginning to see the red flags. It's looking ugly, so I have some data that we'll talk about on that front. Then we'll get to Israel is seizing the entire West Bank, building new settlements. The U.S. is blessing them on that. And then we also have some psychopaths in Israel, religious fundamentalist freaks, who are trying to usher in end times with a red heifer.
Yep.
I wish I was kidding.
Dude, I like when I'm the person that gets to talk about this stuff first. I love seeing Kyle Kulinski talk about something that I've been talking about for like fucking 2 months. You know, some people would get mad. But like I said, I'm up here for the love of the game. I've been talking about that fucking thing since my boss told me that that was a real thing. Let's go, Kyle. Let's talk about the red heifer. I hope he points out that they get it from Texas. It can't have a single white hair, guys. It can't have a single white hair. You guys think I'm lying about this shit. You guys think I'm making this up. It's okay. I thought the person who told me it was making this shit up too. And then I looked it up, and it's real.
But we live in hell world, and these people rule us, bro. They rule us. So we'll talk about that. Then later on in the show, we have Tim Dillon finally wakes up to Trump's bullshit. He even calls out Alex Jones low-key. I'll play that clip for you. And fake.
Alex Jones is big sad. He thinks Kankles McTaco Tits is going to pass away real soon. We can only hope.
Justin Bieber impersonator type guy. He ends up duping all of Las Vegas and performing. That's an amazing story. You know, I don't usually cover like pop culture type stuff, but this one was too good. I couldn't let it go. So we'll talk about that as well. All right, you guys know the deal. Everybody please subscribe to the channel. That helps out big time and costs you nothing at all. Also, we're getting close to 2 million subs, bro. Help get us over the hump.
2 million?
Help get us to the big 2 million number. I really appreciate that.
Bro.
Please support the show on Patreon, and thank you to everybody who does do that. $2 a month or $5 a month goes a long way. I've never talked to any advertiser, never done an ad read. Very proud of that fact. Zero selling out on this show, bro. And you guys supported from the ground up. Again, I'm deeply appreciative for that.
I'll give you guys a little bit more on that, too. Special incense, certain utensils on a certain hill. There's also two valleys over there where they believe that Donald Trump is going to lead an army of infidels in a fight against, I believe it's Muslims, and that he will have 666 on his head, whether that's figurative or not. Like, dude, look all this shit up. There's literally 2 valleys where they believe this war is going to happen. This is why all this shit's getting encouraged. I literally said to my boss one day, I was like, I don't get how Republicans all of a sudden became pro-Jewish, dude. Like, he's Jewish, you know, so he knows. Like, and he was like, dude, do you not understand the prophecies? Do you not know what these people believe? And he told me some of this shit. He didn't tell me about the 2 valleys. A different person told me about this. It's fucking wild.
So sign up on Substack for Crystal Kyle and friends. We have Richard Ojeda coming on this week, the world's most charismatic man who's running for office. Again, yeah. I can't wait to talk to him. That'll be a lot of fun. So sign up on Substack for that. And
me and Ojeda have talked about punching Nazis before. I love me some Richard Ojeda.
Go support the Corrin's World YouTube channel and subscribe over there because we're doing live Kyle and Corrin's every Monday at 8:30. All right, y'all. Let's dive into it. So let's start with this. We were told when Trump launched his trade war and did his tariffs, we were told it's going to bring back American manufacturing. You're going to have jobs exploding all across this country. They're going to explode. Well, guess what? The data's in.
Happening.
How many companies moved 100% of their manufacturing to the U.S. because of the tariffs? Ready? 0. Donut. Zilch.
Yep.
Zilch. Nada.
Because it wasn't what it was meant to be.
The thing we told you would happen is what actually happened, and what Trump said would happen was dead wrong. Dead wrong. So, as Melanie D'Arrigo points out here, $3,800 is how much more the average U.S. family will spend this year because of tariffs.
Yep.
So, no new manufacturing jobs, but you got to spend $3,800 more. Now, by the way, it's actually even.
And I see somebody, saying that they're out for the night, and I appreciate you, Snicks. I do. I appreciate you. And I know that it's depressing. I get that. I understand it. But, like, you know, I laugh a lot. You guys know my whole point is that we win this battle by mocking the absurdity, right? But sometimes I do have to make sure that people understand that there is a plan behind this, that this is serious business, because, you know, I get both sides, right? I get people that come in that are like, you laugh too much at this shit. And then, like I said, this is nothing against the Snicks. This is nothing against you. I completely fucking understand. It's been a duff day for me too. But I get both sides, right? I get people that come in, they're like, man, why are you always laughing at this stuff? And I'm like, because it's about mocking mass psychosis. That's my lane in all of this has been to mock mass psychosis, right? It's what Gavin Newsom is doing right now. He stole that shit from me, by the way. But you know, on the other hand of that, I also get people that come in when I am doing like serious stuff, and they're like, man, like a lot of this stuff's depressing. And it's like, because you need balance. You need to have both. We need to know that what is going on is very, very serious. And we need to also at the same time be able to laugh in the face of our enemies. We do. We need to be able to do both. Because I've always said when I was younger, I always said, like, you know, the thing about me is I laugh a lot, but you put your hands on me and you're going to fucking find out. Like, that was always me. Like, you could talk to me, you could talk shit to me. I laughed the whole time. You put your hands on me, you're going to find out. That's balance. So we got to always remember, you know, like that a lot of times, yeah, I'm be laughing, I'm going to have a good time, but I'm also serious. And when I'm being serious, I still like to laugh.
Even worse than this. It's worse than this. Because Trump outsourced 200,000 jobs
right there.
His first term in office. And then this time he gets in there. One of the first things he does is he cuts off the funding for Joe Biden's bills. So the CHIPS Act, for example, the infrastructure bill, for example. So Biden was creating 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. And Trump gets in there, cuts off the funding for those bills, and boom, now we don't get those jobs. So he lost us 200,000 manufacturing jobs in the first term, lost us 800,000 in the second term.
Yep.
Right? And now we know the tariffs are going to cost you $3,800 more on top of all that. So he could not have been more wrong every single step of the way. But we're just getting started. So on the manufacturing front, we're cooked. And in fact, there were some other companies that were going to build factories here, and they announced when...
Yeah, isn't it crazy, too, that, like, there's no fucking Trump supporters talking about this? Like, nobody on his side of the fucking aisle is, like, concerned that there's no fucking jobs, because they know. They know. They knew this was fucking false advertisement the whole time. You know, I've seen people in my comments over at my Live Clips channel, right? Where dudes will say, like, we don't really give a shit. All we voted for Trump for was to make you guys cry. Like, literally, these people are so insecure, so sad, so hopeless, so much of a fucking disappointment to their own family members and friends that all they have left, the only thing that they have left is hoping that they can make liberals cry. And they're not even winning with that. Their dude is not exactly, he's not doing a great job. Like, this is where we're at as a country, is every one of these dipshits came out here and said it's going to bring back manufacturing to the United States of America, and it didn't happen. He's a loser. And just like you guys have been telling us forever, and you know what, we were wrong. We kept saying, why do you think Donald Trump is anything like you? Donald Trump is a billionaire. Donald Trump doesn't care about you. Donald Trump has never been working class or middle class. What do you mean Donald Trump is just like you? We were wrong. We were wrong. Donald Trump is just like you. He's a loser, and he protects pedophiles. Yeah, just like you do.
Trump did the tariffs, they came out and announced, well, we can't build them anymore because we can't afford the raw materials to build the factories now because of the tariffs. Okay, so he's cooking us in 1,000 ways to Sunday. More. July had the highest number of corporate bank...
Hold on. Look at that orange face paint. Somebody pointed this out the other day, and I'm actually going to call him out on this. That his orange makeup has actually been blending a lot better with his hairline, But that fucking Oompa Loompa hairline going on right there, that fat ass pie wedge triangle of fucking of a hairline, you can see here somebody didn't blend well. He probably doesn't like it when they touch that far up on his scalp, right? He's like, there's nothing there. There's lots of hair. Don't do that. Don't put it in my hair. There's no hair, sir. No, there's totally a lot of hair there. I have so much hair on top of my head. I just had to point that out.
Bankruptcies since the COVID pandemic in 2020.
Did you guys see the dumb shit from Bed Bath & Beyond? Bed Bath & Beyond saying that they won't join California. They won't come to California. Anybody that trades stocks, I trade stocks. Anybody that trades stocks knows that Bed Bath & Beyond is fucking bankrupt. That they've literally already committed bankruptcy. Bed Bath & Beyond is a fucking shell of a company. Like, dude, you don't want to participate in the 30 plus million people that are in California? Okay. That sounds like a reason for you to be fucking bankrupt. You don't want to participate in the fourth largest economy in the world? I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna shoot some fucking darts into the dark. I'm gonna guess that might be the bad decisions that have led to your bankruptcy. There are so many private equity companies that are buying up these fucking companies like Walgreens, Rite Aid, Bed Bath & Beyond, and they are literally just fucking vampirically sucking the blood out of them until there's nothing left, and then they sell off the fixtures and the land. Because that's the world that we have entered in the United States of America, is private equity buys things, just uses them up. The people that work there, they don't give two fucks about. They use them up, and then they close the stores, sell the fixtures, sell the land, and fire the people that work there. And fucking MAGA's like, that's what we voted for.
So it actually eclipsed that, which means that Donald Trump is worse for the economy than a fucking global pandemic, y'all. That is mind-boggling. That's mind-boggling. The
Thanks,
U.S.
Matt.
has now seen 446
Thanks,
large bankruptcy filings in 2025, officially 12% above pandemic levels in 2020. In July alone, the U.S. saw 71 bankruptcies, marking the highest single month total since July 2020. And then
Brother Del Monte went bankrupt. Del Monte has been around for like 150 fucking years. Del Monte, gone. Donald Trump killed one of the fucking oldest fucking corporations that has existed in American history. No more fruit cocktail. I really like those French style green beans too. That was kind of my style. My wife likes fresh produce. And the fact that I work in the health food industry is really going to make people sad that I'm over here talking about canned vegetables. But I am from the trailer park. Like Donald Trump was like, somebody was like, we have the greatest economy in the world. There's no way somebody can fuck this up. And Donald Trump was like, bet. Bet. This is Curtis Yarvin, dude. The oligarchs literally knew who they were getting when they were stuffing dollar bills in Donald Trump's pockets like he's a fucking cheap stripper. All right? They knew what they were getting. Look, there's one thing you'll have to say about these oligarchs is they know business. They're not the smartest people. That's a misunderstanding. They're not. They are the shadiest people. They're the most corrupt people. They're the most evil people. And they know a mark when they fucking see one. And when Donald Trump's orange clown ass came dancing into the fucking scene, he jumped on that pole. They were like, holy fuck, let's go to the ATM. I need to get some dollars. This is Curtis Yarvin. Do not mistake that. This is Curtis Yarvin. This is Jeff Bezos. This is Zuckerberg. This is the Project 2025 people. They might not be in the same gang, but they both know who the mark is. They're just both trying to figure out which person gets to take advantage of his ass the most, so that way when this all fucking collapses, they get to be the person that takes over. And here's the thing. They don't want the whole place. The tech oligarchs, they don't want all of America. They know it's too big. They know it's too unwieldy. They know that it's like too much work to try to deal with all this shit. And when you take somebody like the Project 2025 people, they don't want all of America. They want the religious sections. They want to be able to institute the rule of law that they have, that they want. They don't want godless heathens. They want to be in control of women in the Bible Belt. So if you think that these people aren't going to just split it up after Donald Trump burns it all down, I have news for you.
They do a whole tweet thread about this, and they basically explain, like, look, yes, it's the trade war. The trade war is the culprit, and that's pretty fucking obvious. They also go on to point out, like, the different companies that got hit as a result of this. Unfortunately, a lot of them are, like, 1990s and 2000s, like, legendary type companies, like Forever 21, for example. In fact, let me see if I can find it. Several once popular 1990s and 2000s brands are included in the list of bankruptcies. Forever 21, Rite Aid, Party City, Claire's. I think, like, these earrings I'm wearing, I think, are from Claire's, and they cost, like, fucking, like, $10 or whatever the fuck. All going under. All going under.
Yeah, even when we talk about the de minimis exemptions, even though, like, I understand why that's good for American business, right? The de minimis exemption being that certain things under, I think, $800 or something like that do not qualify for tariffs and fees. And you use Temu or Shine for a lot of that stuff, right? So here's the problem. It's just like the idea that bringing back manufacturing to America is helpful. If we would have done that 40 years ago, yes, that would have been true. But this isn't an industry-based economy anymore. It's a service-based economy. We sell services. That's what we make money off of. It costs too much money to bring back manufacturing to America to make it worthwhile because Americans can't pay for it. We struggle. Think about this. The middle class struggles whilst being able to buy things that are from Temu and Shine. The middle class struggles when there weren't tariffs. And now we've added tariffs. We've took away the de minimis deduction. So we no longer, you're not going to be able to get, something from Temu that's usually in America it's $20 for $6, right? If you brought back, let's say, an iPhone, I think this is one of the more popular things that they talk about, right? And you built an iPhone in America, you're going to have to pay minimum wage. What do we want as the middle class? What do we want as Americans in the working class? We want higher minimum wages. What else do we want in the working class? We want health care. What do we think in the middle class has been one of the most beneficial things to America, to its citizens, since the beginning of America? Unions, workers' rights. We fucking fought and died for them. What do you think is going to happen when you have a unionized, well-paid, given health care, given pensions, workforce building iPhones? They cost a lot fucking more money. And this is it. These people, these politicians, they fucked up. They got us here. These corporations own these politicians. These corporations have it within their means to make life easier on the working class. They choose not to. There's nothing about what is going on right now that isn't part of these people's plans. It's all a part of it. They're just lying to you. They're not bringing back industry, and they don't give two shits about you.
Oh, directly because of the trade war, it's now happening. Everything's unraveling. All right, we got more. Let's talk a little bit about the inflation portion of this. Listen to this.
Wholesale prices for domestic fresh and dry vegetables skyrocketed nearly 40% in July compared to a year ago.
You normally don't see a big move in 1 month that
Never.
much. I mean, the biggest 1 month move for a
is
summer month
insane.
since I think 1947. That's a big move. Three things happening here: weather and drought. So
I work in the health food industry. 40% is insane.
you've got supply issues, worker shortages, and you've got farmers saying that there are fear on some of these farms of deportation, so they're having a hard time getting some of these crops in, and then tariffs on imported vegetables and food.
So climate change, mass deportations, and trade war.
Yep.
Those are the things that are leading to the spike. In other words, all things that the right is making worse.
Yep. If you guys like olive oil, so Spain is one of the places that we get a large percentage of our olive oil from. Spain has had something like 4 years of bad drought because of climate change. And look, like, you can be a conservative and be like, the earth goes through cycles, bro. That's fine. Like, okay, fine, sure. Okay, what if I say, yes, you're right, the earth goes through cycles, which that is true. It's still happening. Olive oil went through the fucking roof because of droughts. Immigration is getting worse because of climate change. The things that are going on in this world right now are 100% being affected by climate change, and you can stick your fucking head in the sand and act like it's not happening, or you can recognize that it is and you can do something about it. These people are very simple, uncurious, unintelligent people. Something like climate change is too big of an issue for them to ever fucking understand, and they should have never gotten to get behind the wheel of this country, much less any other country. But to go back to what I was saying earlier about the age of understanding, we have a decision to make. During the age of information, you were given all of this information. And during the age of understanding, you are now being asked, what are you going to do with it? You've been told that the climate changes. Most of us that have a fully functioning frontal lobe understand that it is influenced by human beings. What are you going to do with that information? It's the age of information versus the age of understanding. And just like Ben was talking about before he left on his show, the way that they're combating the age of understanding is by filling the cups full of misinformation. 40% increase in the price of produce is insane.
It's insane. Like, they're destroying the country on purpose.
That's something that can make prices rise for domestic as well. So this is producer level. Will it be passed on to the consumer? Unclear yet, but we'll know pretty quickly. Very thin margins for food items. So this means that grocery store chains will have to eat the cost, pun intended, or we'll have to pass it on, and we'll know pretty soon.
All right, so that's just vegetables. We discussed on this show the other day, coffee. Prices for coffee have skyrocketed. Minimum 14%. I've seen as high as like 25%. It's happening, y'all. It's all happening.
And it's about to go up again. Just so you know, so Trump's a posturer, right? First and foremost, Trump is a facade of a strong man. So studies have been done on tariffs, right? And those tariffs have shown that only about 48% of the goods that are coming through are actually being tariffed right now. Donald Trump's saying all these things are happening, but they're not, right? And we're already feeling the squeeze. We're already starting to. Like I said, PPI jumped by 1%, which is huge. Produce went up by 40%. That's huge. Everything in this country, CPI-wise, has been going up since January of this year, except for televisions. That's weird. Turns out, the thing that keeps you glued to it is getting cheaper, easier to access, just like misinformation. If you think about it this way, if only 48% of what he's talking about is actually being tariffed, and then you look at the fact that companies have already said that they've been eating this for the most part up to this point. Most companies have said that they're only passing about 13 to 25% of the tariffs cost to the consumer. But almost every government watchdog currently that monitors these types of statistics is saying that this is only possible for them to do in the short term, because tariffs are only good short term, just like price controls are only good short term. Tariffs are only good short term because eventually companies have to adjust. So many companies right now believe that within the next 6 months that they are going to have to start pushing 60 to 70% of the total cost of tariffs onto consumers. So if only 48% of tariffs are actually being tariffed at this point, and that goes to 75, 80, 100%, because Donald Trump can't help himself, and then the cost of those tariffs goes from 13 to 25% to being 65 to 75%, what the fuck do you think is going to happen? Coffee is already through the roof, and a lot of these coffee companies have been eating the fucking cost because they know that if they don't eat the cost right now, they won't make any money at all. These people do not make a fuck ton of money. These are not corporations like Walmart, Costco, or Target. And Target is suffering so fucking bad right now that they just fired their CEO. It's very important for people to know that right now we live on the knife's edge in our economy. And it is a fucking long fall on the other side of this.
How about this one? Breaking. A home buyer now must earn $114,627 a year to afford the median priced U.S. home, per Redfin. This means the average U.S. household income would require a 42% raise to afford the median home. In other words, homeownership is officially a luxury. Homeownership is a luxury. The American dream is so cooked. Yep. It is so dead. It is so gone. It's never been more dead and gone. And I think everybody senses that. Everybody feels that. Everybody knows that because everybody's struggling. And when there's no hope, that's when you see this increase in political extremism. That's when you see people turning to some solutions that are pretty out there because they know, hey, politics as usual hasn't served us well. Politics as usual has actually destroyed us. So that's incredible. All right, I still got another one for you. So this one is kind of sad, but it's also, a bright red flashing indicator that we're in for a world of hurt.
Oh, no. Kyle, I'm already being depressing. You can't be more depressing. But we can't double down on depression. Oh, shit. Speaking of homes, did y'all see the Arkansas bill that wants to make it so you have to prove you're white for housing? Visora, let me tell you something. We can triple down. No, we are tripling down. We are tripling down, Visora. I just tripled down. I want to just share something with you, Visora, right now. When I first started doing this shit about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, people on the left would come into my stuff and they'd be like, yo, did you know that like Trump said this thing? And I go, hey, guys, Trump says a lot of stupid shit. We don't need to make things up. All right. We stick to the fucking facts. And then over time, shit has gotten so dumb that left-wing people will come into my chat and they'll be like, Trump said this? And I'm like, hey, we don't need to, oh, fuck, he said that. That's where we've gotten in this fucking country, is that the Onion has nothing left. There's no satire anymore. People now come into my chat and say things, and I'm like, I'm going to look that up later, and it's going to be true. I want to believe that this is just hyperbolic. I want to believe it's out of context. I want to see that it's just a clip that does not actually exist. And every fucking time now, I go and look it up, and I'm like, nah, shit's true. Okay, all right, that's where we're at. I got to go load my gun.
Very shortly.
Hi, everyone. I thought I'd share another non-traditional economic indicator that is sounding an alarm, and it's absolutely heart-wrenching. And this economic indicator is a surge in pet owner surrenders. Shelters across the U.S. are reporting a surge in surrenders with financial hardship as the primary driver. The financial hardships are happening as there are job losses, as the everyday cost of living has gone up, and also...
Ooh, I wonder if she's going to talk about the continuing degradation of the American dollar. That really gets me going nowadays. The loss of value in the American dollar is definitely part of... if you guys have never seen Stephen Moran's article, so Stephen Moran is one of Donald Trump's cabinet members that believes, and I could be fucking this up, it's been a while since I've looked at it, but I believe it's by devaluing the dollar, it helps to reset global trade in a way that in some way will make it's either manufacturing easier or less important for America's economy. You should read this. You should read Stephen Moran before he became a cabinet member for Donald Trump. You should go and read the article that he wrote. I think it's for the Financial Times. I'm not sure about that part though. I'll see if I can find it and see if I can link it.
The cost of caring for a pet have increased.
Aww.
The cost of pet food and treats, beds and
there goes my
toys.
dog.
The cost of caring pet food and treats, all affected
Sorry,
by
you gotta
tariffs. So institutions like the Animal Care Center of New York has suspended all intake because of past issues.
Jesus
The Charlotte
Christ.
Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control in North Carolina has reported a 43% surge in animal surrenders versus this time last year. And the Chicago Animal Care and Control has reported that if their surrenders continue at the pace they're at in 2025, they will see 3 times the surrenders in 2025 versus 2024 and 6
Okay, look, I could give two shits about human beings, but this shit's a little too much. Okay. I like animals, dude.
times the surrenders versus 2023. And on top of this, adoption rates are also declining, which is heartbreaking.
Jesus
So if you have
Christ.
the resources and
This dude
ability
can't
to
leave
adopt a new
anything.
pet, your local shelter likely really needs your help right now.
So we're already in a recession, bro. We're already in a recession. It's already rough out there, but I hope everybody's ready because this is going to get a lot worse. This is going to get a lot.
My fucking Chiweenie is gonna. By the way, that's a dog. Okay, guys, fucking stop. Bunch of 12-year-olds. Okay, it's a real dog. Okay, well, it's not actually a real dog, but it looks like one. The Chiweenie is being affected by Donald Trump's economy. What the fuck is going on? Like, if you couldn't tell me, like 10 years ago, that there would be a time in America's history where shit would get so bad that the animals would be feeling it. This is in America's history where shit would get so this is the timeline.
Worse. And I know all you guys, because I've experienced this too myself, I know all you guys have stories from your personal lives of, hey, this guy I know.
Oh,
Or
damn, I'm just now noticing that Kyle Kulinski's dog isn't in the background. This shit's about to get real dark, isn't it?
this guy I know who's a friend of my friend or this family member or whatever. Somebody you know is feeling it. Somebody you know got laid off. Somebody you know is desperately trying to downsize or being evicted or whatever the case may be. Because, your government effectively stabbed you in the back. Your government effectively screwed you over, right? Every decision, I made this point 1,000 times, but I'm going to make it 1,000 more. Every decision Trump is making, it's like he's trying to destroy the country. If he was a Manchurian
Fucking
candidate, there would be literally
Fucking
no
A.
difference between how he's acting now and if he was a Manchurian candidate. He might as well be. Because, and here's another big part, which again, very few people talk about, but they should, is how much longer is the dollar going to be the world reserve currency? How much longer is that going to be the case?
That's in Stephen Moran's article. I gotta find it, and I'll link it. Maybe I'll hop in chat after I get done here, and I'll find Stephen Moran's article. And this is Donald Trump's dude. In fact, I think I could be wrong about this, but he might be putting him forward for Jerome Powell's position in May. By the way, Jerome Powell, his tenure is up in May. And if you don't understand, like, there's so much to the economy that people should be looking at, and I know it's depressing, I know it's not fun, but this is all very important stuff, is that if you look at 87, if you look at 2008, if you look at 29, there are economic indicators that are flashing red from those times that are also that are happening now. The devaluing the dollar followed by the dropping of interest rates is a horrifically bad idea, and it only appeals to really simple-minded Republicans that don't know what that means. A bunch of people that aren't going to be taking loans out on anything to actually benefit from any type of interest rates are asking for interest rates to be lowered, and they don't know why they are, because they just know that Charlie Kirk told them that Jerome Powell's an asshole. Look, I don't know one thing about Jerome Powell's politics. For all I know, Jerome Powell is anti-choice. He wants immigrants deported from this country. He could be a fucking KKK member, for all I know, guys. But the one thing that I can tell you is that across the political spectrum, everybody agrees that Jerome Powell has done a fantastic fucking job with the American economy through a pandemic, through a global pandemic, and has helped, with the help of Joe Biden, keep this country out of a recession, which is insane. Every economist was like, we're going into a recession. And when he is no longer a part of the Fed in May and Donald Trump replaces him with some fucking Fox News anchor, if you think shit's bad now, it's about to get a lot fucking worse.
Because I got news for you. Everybody fucking hates us now. We're not good to our word. That alone sort of destroys you in the long run.
Crypto.
Pulled out of the Iran agreement, pulled out of the Paris Climate
That's a
Agreement,
good call.
stopped abiding by the
Sorry.
USMCA,
God
which
damn
was
it.
the trade deal
That's
with
a good
Canada
call.
that Trump himself negotiated. Then he pulled out of his own trade deal, right? Our word is worth nothing. It's worth a dick.
NAFTA.
And so in a scenario like that, the rest of the world goes, we don't trust the Americans. We can't rely on the Americans. The Americans are liars. The Americans are psychos. The Americans are unhinged. So they're working around America, making deals with each other, looking more towards China to be a global leader. And in that scenario, they're merely tolerating the dollar at the moment as the world reserve currency. But, you know, they're not going to, nobody's going to keep investing.
By the way, the Japanese are the people that own the most of our debt. I want to say $800 billion. Could be more than that actually now. But the Japanese are the ones that own the largest amount of our debt. And during the trade negotiations, the threat was made that they would sell off their shares of our debt, which would cause the American economy to plummet. The value of the dollar would go right in the fucking toilet. When Donald Trump is posturing and making all these, boisterous, hyperbolic claims about how much of a strongman he is, let me tell you something I told my kids a long time ago. When you're sitting there and you got somebody that's getting physical, that they're talking a lot of shit, if they're loud and they talk a lot of shit, you don't need to be scared you don't need to be scared of that person. That person's not scary. They're a peacock. They're fucking showing you their feathers because they don't want to fight. They just want you to be too scared to fight, and they want to be a bully, and that's what Donald Trump is. The person you need to be afraid of is the fucking person that owns the majority of your debt and is looking across at you and going, you want to keep doing this? I don't have to say shit, because eventually I'm just going to punch you in the mouth, and you ain't going to expect it because you've been talking this whole fucking time. That's the person you should be scared of. You should be scared of the quiet person, because that person already knows what they're about to do. Donald Trump doesn't scare anybody. The only person that Donald Trump is tough to is MAGA, because they're the type of people that look like a loud, boisterous, hyperbolic, bombastic bully like Trump and go, man, I wish I was like that. Because if I had power, that's what I would do. Like, if Japan wants to tank America, which would not be in Japan's best interest, by the way, but if they were Donald Trump, if they were thin-skinned and insecure like the President of the United States of America, they would have sold off our debt. And they were like, fuck it. Because that's what Donald Trump's doing.
Investing in the U.S. Nobody's going to keep. And the other thing is, and this is an even longer conversation, but now we're beginning to see some evidence. There's some articles that came out over the past couple days, some evidence that the AI bubble is about to burst. And woo, buddy, when that bubble bursts, ooh, it's going to be a lot of pain, dog.
Once again.
It's going to be a lot of pain. I don't know how many of you were old enough to remember this, but the internet bubble burst. Remember that? I believe it was in the late 90s that the internet bubble burst. And that was a lot of pain for a lot of people, right? Then you had the subprime.
Every time that there has been a financial crisis, it has been because of different types of, Sora was bringing up Bitcoin earlier. It's unregulated monetary situation. So like during, he was about to say subprime mortgages, right? That was because the real estate industry came up with this cool idea where investors would prop up the loans of these subprime mortgages. And of course, nobody had any monitoring of what was going on with this. And these banks were giving away loans to people that couldn't afford them. Once investors recognized that this was happening, they pulled out en masse. What that does, especially in the internet age and the technology age, is there are bars that are set for selling off stocks and assets when it reaches a certain level. when that happened, it triggered a massive amount of sell-off, which of course cascaded and became worse and worse. Bitcoin is the same thing. The moment that people are no longer have faith in Bitcoin as being the digital currency, so you see all these other currencies that are coming out that aren't necessarily competing, but eventually you're going to have people that come out. This is how capitalism works, that want to compete with Bitcoin as being that currency. Once that happens and somebody decides, oh, you know what, Bitcoin isn't the future, and they pull out a fuck ton of assets, that's going to trigger other people pulling out their assets, which is going to cause Bitcoin to drop to fucking zero. And that's going to cause another problem. And that's the same thing with AI. The moment that people recognize, oh, a lot of this AI shit isn't going to survive. Craft breweries are a great example. During COVID, people started a bunch of craft breweries because craft breweries were really, you could sell $18, $20, $25 four packs of 16-ounce beer, and people were buying them up like crazy. And now the industry itself has flattened out and declined, and people are having to close those breweries because there's nobody that wants to buy the alcohol. In fact, alcohol consumption in this country has reduced by something like 10 or 20% at this point. The alcohol industry is actually having a really hard time, just like everybody else is. You're going to see the same thing happen with AI. A bunch of people that started AI companies because it was the cool thing, the hip thing to be into, are going to go under. And when those things go under, people are going to get scared, and they are going to take their money out of those assets. And there's going to be a couple places that survive, and for the most part, most of these things are going to go under. And the people that were involved in it are going to lose a fuck ton of money. It's just like what he's talking about with the dot-com bubble.
Mortgage crisis in the Great Recession in 2008, a lot of pain for a lot of people. Pandemic, same thing. But now, basically one of the few things propping up the economy is this colossal bubble, all of this malinvestment that's happening with these AI companies that are promising the sun, the moon, and the stars. They're promising AI is going to solve every problem we've ever had, and it's going to suck your dick, and it's going to, finger your asshole, and it's going to do whatever, right? And come to find out, a lot of these AI models are absolute trash. Not only that, China has already proven they're way ahead of the U.S. So at some point, the fun's going to stop, the party's going to stop, and the bubble's going to burst. And then at that point, we're going to have a massive economic downturn. Massive.
By the way, the reason that you see AI companies, Bezos, Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, whoever you want to, Thiel, whatever tech oligarch you want to throw in there, right? The reason that they're panicking and they're doing what they're doing, both with Donald Trump and with the attempts at getting unregulated AI, right? Like that was in the Big Beautiful Bill. Fuck, somebody, don't tell Donald Trump I said that. He will be like, this was the big, beautiful year. It's the big, beautiful decade. Fuck. The reason that there was so much panic over all this is that China has this weird mix of free market capitalism and communism, right? They figured out something that Americans couldn't figure out. And that is that government shouldn't be one type of government. It should be dependent on what your goal is, a mixture of multiple types of government. Now, China is, and I'm trying not to be hyperbolic about this, but they're a world domination country. So is Russia. Different ways of going about it. And the way they're going about it, China's going about it, is by owning the technological sphere, right? Like if they get out ahead of us on green energy, they own the green energy industry. That puts them ahead economically from us because now they have green energy, it's cheaper, and they're selling the technology. They already did that. China's already well ahead of us on green energy. We were catching up under Biden, by the way, but we fucked that up, so that's over. But AI is the other realm in which they want to be like this, right? And what they are doing now in this country is they want unregulated AI because they're afraid that they're not going to catch China. They're afraid that the Americans here, the Musks and the Zuckerbergs, have fallen too far behind, and they think the only way to catch up is to have unregulated AI to be able to do whatever the fuck they want. And I can't tell you, but Visora will. how bad that is, not just for the country, but for the entire globe. It's not something that anybody should want. Look, America, you have to understand this. Americans, if I can just speak to you, I don't give a fuck who you voted for. You have to hear these words. It's okay to not be number one. It is not worth sacrificing human beings. It is not worth putting people in the middle class in even worse straits. It is not worth selling out the future generations so that way America can stay number one. You don't get anything for being number one. Or at least the middle class doesn't. Ultra wealthy people do. But guess what? If America isn't number one, they'll just make money off of China or Russia. It doesn't matter because they're not actually attached to me and you. They would rather be in the driver's seat in this country, but they don't have to be. If there's fucking anything I can say to bridge the gap between political party or voter partisanship, it's not worth it. Giving unfettered access to these tech oligarchs, to technology like AI in an unregulated sphere in which they make the rules and nobody else does, it's not fucking worth it. America can be like number 5. Well, California will still be number 4, but... Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and check out that video on the screen now.